We are back inside City Hall while our next guest is far behind the front runners in the State Attorney General's race. Can he really turn this around? Let's ask Sean Patrick Maloney, and we welcome you back to the program tonight.
Great to be here.
Let's look at the numbers in terms of this observation. We see that it comes down to Andrew Cuomo and Mark Green, and then, as you see right there in front of you, 27-21. And then when we look at the bottom tier, if you will, if we can go ahead and show those numbers, there you are at 3%, a tie basically for fourth place.
Right.
What's your take on these numbers?
Well, I hope you guys didn't spend a lot of money on that poll, because I could have told you that there are better known candidates in this race. Look, I've got a reason to run this race and more passion to do this work than anybody in it. You know, what I want to do is give New York a government as good as its people. That means investigating the MTA and the other public authorities that are stealing us blind, that have billions of dollars of debt, that are corrupt and mismanaged. It means ending this pay-to-play lobbying system in Albany. You know, the stuff that goes on in Albany every day would make Jack Abramoff blush. It means using this office for working and middle-class people who worry about jobs and education and health care, affordable housing. And it means fighting back against George Bush and this conservative gang in Washington. And that's what I want to talk about. And I think if we stay focused on ways to really make this office relevant for ordinary people in their lives, we're going to do just fine.
Here's an observation. Some may say you have the look, you definitely have the sound, you articulate your positions, but many pundits say that you have absolutely no chance at all at winning the nomination. What do you make of that?
What I think is that, you know, we focus too little on substance in politics. I mean, I think that there's a natural tendency to do that. But I think at the end of the day, when you open your mouth in this business, if you say something, it matters. And I'm not in this race to look a certain way or to sound a certain way. And I'm sure not in this race to say the same things the better known guys are saying. Look, I want to be in this race to talk about the opportunity Democrats have this year. A breathtaking, historic opportunity to do something really different. You know, we are poised on the edge of something very exciting. And if we make the right choices about doing to Albany what Elliott did to Wall Street, about really meaning it when we say we are going to clean up the public sector so you can trust Democrats with executive power again, and we are really going to use this power to fight for working and middle class people in the areas of their life where they need help, and we are going to protect New York families against this gang in Washington that is taking the country in the wrong direction. If we really walk our talk, and if we really mean what we say, look, I think authenticity matters, man. I think if you really mean what you say in this business and you've got a passion to do the work. You know, I don't want to win this race and I don't want to just hold this office. I want to do this job. And I think people will see that and hear that in my voice. And that's going to be more important than what tie I wear or you know, the other tricks that politicians might try to use. I want to do this job.
The comment that you just made, is this contest, is this race really about a fallback contest from your perspective for Mr. Cuomo, since he didn't win for governor, for Mr. Green, since he's run for a number of offices and did not win for mayor? Is this really a consolation prize for them? I
think we would all do well to remember that this race isn't about any one of us. It's about the people in New York. It's about their future. It's about their kids. It's about whether they get good jobs, whether they got good schools, whether they get, you know, kids can get a good education in a safe neighborhood. It's about whether we are going to really stick up for New York families against these conservatives in Washington. And it is about, I believe, first and foremost, showing that you can trust us with executive power. And we are going to walk that talk by investigating the MTA and the other public authorities that are out of control. We are going to stop this pay-to-play lobbying system because our government shouldn't be for sale. And if we do those things, then that's what this race will be about. It'll be about the opportunity Democrats have this year. And it doesn't come along very often, but this year we've got a real chance, if we make the right choices, to really do something different. And that's what I want to do in this race. It's not about anybody else.
Is this about raising your name recognition for a future run, for a future job down the road?
Look, what I've done in my career is I'm a professional investigative lawyer. In the last couple of years, I have investigated the CEO of one of the country's largest banks, about a $3 million investigation involving teams of forensic accountants and investigators. I've investigated on behalf of the governor of a northeastern state, the world's largest gambling syndicate, again, a multi-million-dollar investigation. Now, this is what I do for a living. I've also worked at the senior staff of the White House. I was the president's staff secretary, Bill Clinton's staff secretary for 3 years. That means for 3 years, I screened every decision, every national security item, every piece of legislation, every directive, every executive order. I was executing decisions on the president's behalf, which is part of that job, and I was managing a staff of 100 employees. You know, I also have been, you know, I've run a private business in New York, and I'm raising a couple of kids in this city. You know, I have a life that I'm very proud of and that I'm very excited about leading. I want to do this work. This is not some vanity project for me, and it's not about making up for something or filling in some hole in my psychological makeup. It's very simple. For me, this is a job interview, and what we ought to talk about in a job interview is who's got the vision and the passion to do this work on behalf of the people of New York.
On your website, there are a lot of photos of President Clinton. But when it comes to President Clinton, is it really Andrew Cuomo that can lay claim to that, if you will, given that he was Secretary of HUD, the housing agency for the federal government?
Yeah, Andrew Cuomo's got a resume he should be proud of. So do most of the people in this race. But, you know, what I like to say is a resume is not a reason to run. It's just not. It's important. It's important that people know that we're qualified and that we can do this work. And that's why I laid out some of my experience and qualifications. I'm very proud of my service with President Clinton. I think he's one of the best presidents the country's ever had. But I wouldn't be in this race if I didn't have something different to say than Andrew Cuomo and the other candidates. You know, I'm the only candidate talking about using the power of this office to do to Albany what Elliott did to Wall Street, to really investigate the MTA, the other public authorities, to really go after the pay-to-play lobbying system, and to do the other things we must do if we are going to redefine what it means to be Democrats, and if we're going to seize this opportunity with Eliot Spitzer to really show New Yorkers what's possible.
How do you explain the fact that at this point Mr. Cuomo was ahead in the polls?
Well, I think you'd chalk that up to name recognition. Like I say, I don't know how much you guys spent to find that out. I don't know if it's a surprise to any of us. But we're just getting started. And I think that if you look at other races and other people who've won, that they would be in similar positions that I am now. I'll leave that for the pundits. What I'm in this race to do is to talk about fixing people's problems. What I'm in this race to do is to say something when I open my mouth that is different and that is real. Because I got a passion to do this work that's authentic, and I want people to see that.
If you were not in this contest, if you were not a candidate, which of the Democrats that are currently running comes closest to representing your ideas?
Look, we got a lot of good candidates in this race. I'll leave that to the voters to decide who should emerge from this contest. I hope we have a competition that's substantive and energetic and positive. And I've said publicly that I'll support any Democratic candidate nominated for this job. I think it's important that we give Eliot Spitzer a Democratic partner when he becomes governor, as I believe he will. But I think I'm that candidate, and I'm willing to get up and tell you why. And I think all of us should do that. I think all of us shouldn't tell you about what we've done and, you know, what our record is and things in the past. Those are important, but only as an opener. I think what's most important is to talk about your vision. Mine is to give New York a government as good as its people, to use the office, every tool we got to fight for working and middle-class people, common sense stuff, jobs, education, affordable housing, health care, crime, and to fight back against George Bush. You do that, I think you earn the right to ask for people's vote.
What do you make of the Republican competition, Jeanine Pirro?
She's a real candidate. You know, bring it on. I think that we ought to take that very seriously. I don't think any Democrat should make the mistake of thinking this is going to be an easy year. I think it highlights the need to put forth a candidate who is substantive and positive, who has fresh ideas and a passion to do this work. Because at the end of the day, I believe the voters will look at the competition, both in the Democratic primary and in the general election, and ask, who do I want working for me? And I think the way to answer that question is to say, here's what I'm going to do. Here's my vision. Let me tell you about the things in my heart and what I'm really going to get up every day and focus on. And there is nobody in this race, Dominic, who wants to do this work more and who's been more specific about where to take this office.
You're an openly gay candidate running for State Attorney General. Do you see that as an obstacle? I know the last time you appeared on the program, you're very proud to talk about your sexual orientation, but are you concerned that it might be an obstacle?
What I've said is that I hope no one votes for me or against me because I'm gay. You know, I'm not running as the gay candidate in this race. I'm running as the best candidate with the best ideas, the most passion to do this work, who happens to be gay. But I'm not running away from it either. You know, I have a partner of almost 14 years. We've adopted 3 children together. I'm very proud of that, and I don't plan to run this race as though I'm not proud of it. But look, this is a job interview, and you know, we all have individualities. Our race, you know, you might be black, you might be white, you might be a man or a woman, you might be gay or straight. These things are important parts of who we all are, but you know, in a job interview, they're not really relevant to what you're going to do on the job, and I think that's the way most New Yorkers are going to look at it. They're going to look at why does this person want to do this work? And what I'm talking about is getting up every day and giving them a government as good as they are, that's working as hard as they are. If they're giving it money, they know where it's going. You know, that is really committed to doing things for working and middle-class families that they need done with their schools and their healthcare system and their neighborhoods in terms of crime. And if we do that, then we'll earn the right to I'll earn the right to ask for people's vote. And I don't think these other issues will be the central issue in this campaign.
Sean Patrick Maloney, we thank you so much for joining us tonight, and this is going to be an interesting contest for AG.
Looking forward to it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It is now time for a break. When we return, we'll look at the demolition that's moving forward at the Brooklyn Rail Yards, and later our political rundown. Stay with us.